Hello everyone and welcome to Otaku Talk. I'm your host OD. In case you haven't noticed, I got my #1 headband on. And yes, that's right. We're talking about not Afro Samurai. We're talking about the new anime on Netflix called Yasuke. It's produced by Studio Mappa. I've had a lot of hype for this anime for a really long time. Ever since I heard it was coming out, I've just been super excited and super impatient to finally get to see it. Pretty much what the gist was it was about, the first black samurai. Historically, there was a black samurai by the name of Yasuke who did in fact serve as a retainer for, Oda Nobunaga, a famous general in the Japanese, I want to say feudal area, but that sounds more right than I believe it is right. And I believe Nobunaga's goal was to unify all of Japan. So anyway, super excited for that. And then to top it off, the main character Yasuke is voiced by Lakeith Stanfield. In case you guys do not know who Lakeith Stanfield is, he's the dude with the hat that when they took a picture of in Get Out kind of started spazzing out. Something he's been a little bit more in the front view of. He was also in Sorry to Bother You, and he was also in Knives Out. He was not the detective, not the Southern detective, but the initial officer on the scene. And there's a lot more works he's been in. If you watch Atlanta, he's in Atlanta. He's Paperboy's friend. So yeah, he's a very good actor. He's really well liked, and so I was really excited to see him do this. I haven't been aware of him doing any other voice acting projects. So without much further ado, let's get into it. My review and analysis is going to work pretty much two ways. One, I'm just going to give an overarching review for people who haven't seen the series and might possibly want to go see it. So I'll just be really vague and just give a general plot synopsis, and then I'll give a deeper in-depth analysis of the entire series. I binged it last night. I wasn't planning on it. I was going to watch the first 2 episodes, but I said, why not? Let me finish it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm going to get into the details of it. After I review this portion, I'm going to move into a more detailed analysis that is going to contain big spoilers. So I don't know how to do timestamps yet. So once you get to that part and you're not trying to get spoiled, I would just stop the video. If you want to get into the deeper review and analysis, go ahead and skip a few minutes. I'm not going to spend too long on this. Anyway, pretty much the basic story is there's this dude. Actually, I forget his original name, but he sees a kid in danger, goes to help said kid, and because of that, Nobunaga sees him, respects him, and he's like, "Hey, I want you on my squad." And just like that, Yasuke becomes a retainer for Nobunaga. Unfortunately, shit goes down, and we find ourselves several years in the future with a now much older Yasuke. There's a girl that is apparently sick, and their mom, who Yasuke seems to have some form of relationship with, requests his help to go and take the daughter to this doctor. The reason she needs his help is because apparently the trek to find this doctor is long and arduous and very dangerous. As of right now, he's been moonlighting as a boatsman. I think pretty much he just takes people. He doesn't take people across the river. I think his main thing is he just fishes. But everyone in the village pretty much calls him the Black Boatsman. As far as I'm going to go into racial undertones in my overall review, and no, I'm not someone who's going to get caught up on race or whatever, but you do have to acknowledge this is a racially significant moment in anime. Yes, we've had black anime characters, and yes, we've had a handful of black leads. Once again, Afro Samurai. Also, fun fact, I got this bandana winning a beer pong tournament at a friend's house. I've actually won twice. I'm the two-time reigning champion, current reigning champion. So get at your boy. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the story. A lot ensues, and yeah, honestly, I feel like I shouldn't have even done that section, because honestly, just watch the trailer. You have a general idea of like what it's about. I honestly just really want to get into like the nitty gritty of it. So let me just do that, honestly, because that'll be a lot easier for me than like tiptoeing around. Oh, I don't want to spoil this. I don't want to spoil this. I don't want to spoil this. So boom, you have this African dude. I'm not sure. They keep saying servant. I don't know if they're saying servant because he was actually a servant, or if they're trying to be nice and not say slave. But apparently he was a servant to this Italian whatever. I don't know. I don't really quite recall the specifics of the Italian dude's identity. But there's a kid that got in trouble for something or the other. Can't remember that part either. And my boy Yasuke basically steps up and is like, nah, I'm not going to like watch this and let this happen. One of my favorite phrases he says in the series is, "Where I'm from, it's the responsibility of like the people have a responsibility to look out for the children of the land." And I really like that part because I'm Nigerian, in case you guys didn't know. And that's actually a really true fact. I don't know what part of Africa he came from or is originally from, but there is a concept in Nigeria where like not it takes a village, I wouldn't say, but everyone kind of looks out for everyone's kids. Also, like, it's kind of more free discipline there, like where, for example, if you're a badass little brat, like someone can like spank you, like a random person, like if you're misbehaving or something, can discipline you, and like your parents will thank you if they find out later. Will thank that person if they find out later because you were embarrassing them, you were embarrassing the family, you were misbehaving in public. So I really thought that was really cool of them to add in. So yeah, moving on. Let's get into the plot later, because I actually do have some issues with that. All right. First off, animation. Animation was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was cool. Sorry, I have some nose sniffles. I have a really sensitive nose. Anyway, animation, didn't hate it, didn't love it. Studio Mappa did a pretty exceptional job. Once again, it's a Netflix anime, so anytime I see a Netflix anime, I take it with a grain of salt. At the time when it was first announced, I didn't really know if it was I didn't really know it was a Netflix anime. But like Netflix animes do have a tendency to kind of stray away from the traditional like artwork and design of anime. There's been a huge push in the anime community recently. Not the anime community, but I believe anime studios to start using CGI. Honestly, I'm very ignorant of this topic. I couldn't tell you the pros and cons. All I can tell you is my experience as a viewer. I'm not a big fan of CGI. I think it's clunky. I think it's ugly. I do think every blue moon it can be used occasionally well, especially if it's used for like to create 3D effects, because anime is typically two-dimensional, and using CGI allows us to get a greater depth into whatever it is we're watching. And so I do respect the hustle, but I do kind of see it as an emerging just money saver for studios. I just think it's way easier to animate in CGI and utilize CGI, and many studios are opting to go that route instead of hand-drawn anime, which I can't be mad at, because we complain and bitch and moan all the time about I want the next season of this, I want the next season of this, oh, this takes so long to come out, blah blah blah. And CGI could be a potential answer to that. But I do think that there is an issue with, the quality and the just the quality of the anime coming out. I'm not someone that's really big into the artwork, but I do know a beautiful anime when I see one, and I'm concerned that with this CGI focus, we'll be moving away from that. So in terms of animation, I give it a let's say let's say an 8 out of 10. I really hate using number systems. I'm not going to do it often, but let's just say an 8 out of 10 in terms of I wouldn't give it a 7. It's more than satisfactory. I think it looked good, but it's nothing breathtaking or blowing or will blow you away in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like Yasuke looks a little weird to me. Some of the characters look a little weird to me. So yeah, there's that. Character design. Pretty cool, honestly. All the characters look unique. I love how Yasuke himself isn't like some stereotypical black dude. Like there's dimension to him. There's layers to him. Something really cool is I didn't notice this, and I want to go back and rewatch like Afro Samurai and anything I know to have black people in it. But there was a great focus on showing the shading of the palms and the under palms of Yasuke, and you see his are a lot darker than mine. Mine are actually, really, really light. They made him a lot darker. It was really awkward to see at first animated, but I think it was the awkwardness just came from the fact that I'm not used to it. I think that, the more that's done in anime, the more accustomed we'll be to it. It was just really weird to see, and like that's the reason I said I want to go back and check out Afro Samurai and a bunch of other shows with black characters and look at the palms, because I feel like they're either hidden or not shown, because for his palms to make such an impact on me, it means that it's something I'm not used to. It's something that my brain hasn't had to process before. So I'm very curious about that aspect. The opening sequence. Obviously, fire. In terms of the opening like OST, it's done by Flying Lotus. The whole anime, by the way, is soundtracked by Flying Lotus, so you already know it was destined to be fire. Destined to be fire. I'm going to get into the soundtrack next. That's the next thing I want to review. But the opening, Flying Lotus with, I believe, covered by or performed, written by Flying Lotus, performed by Thundercats. Beautiful. As far as the visuals, I give it a C, a 7 out of 10. Music, A, easy A plus. The visuals, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy that anytime something is not traditional or like they take liberties, you dislike it. I don't want to be that guy. I believe in openness with stuff and the creativity to try to do new things. But I really wish that like they kind of made it a more standard anime opening with a variety of scenes and hints and clues and tips of what's happening in the series. In this, they just kind of did this really trippy, artistic. We're just gonna have people walking around, and then we're gonna cut out, and then we're gonna have these like trippy like blank designs. I was like, it's not doing it for me. I didn't. You guys might judge me for this, but I'm the kind of person that unless I really, really love it, like with the original Attack on Titan one, I will skip the intro after the first time or 2 times I've seen it. And so with this one, I really just had no interest in the music was dope, but like that alone, like sometimes you want to see like the cool visuals and like it just there were some really cool designs and aspects they did put out there. Between the scenes with characters, there were like these weird like items they would put, like this one little like glittery feather, and then there was another time like there were these really cool tools, but other than that, it just did not appeal to me. Am I saying it's bad? No. Just my personal like interest and what appeals to me as an anime watcher, I did not get from that intro. Not saying it was bad, just wasn't my cup of tea. Like I said, music was an A. Visuals was subpar in my opinion. So you could give it anywhere from like a 7 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. We can go 7.5. I really feel bad giving it a 7.5. I think it deserves an 8 from the music alone. Like I feel like the music alone carries it. And once again, I want to acknowledge that this could be my own personal opinion. Moving on into the soundtrack of the entire show. Once again, Flying Lotus can do no wrong. Soundtrack fire. Every time, like during the verbal discussion scenes, the fight scenes, the nature scenes, every scene possible. The music fit well. The music was soothing. The music was fire, heated when it needed to be. It just was flawless. Having Flying Lotus do the soundtrack to this was absolute genius. Absolute genius. If nothing alone you can take from this series, you can take the soundtrack and enjoy that. I just think soundtrack was phenomenal. If you disagree, I want you to let me know why. But like, I think that's I know these. This is one of those things where it's also kind of subject to your personality and what you like. But I doubt that there's going to be anyone that had an issue with the soundtrack. If you do, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe we just don't like the same kind of music. I mean, my musical tastes are eclectic anyway, but I just cannot stress. I really cannot stress the soundtrack of this series. Please, if you've seen it already, let me know. If you haven't seen it already, please watch it. Get back to me and tell me if you agree with the soundtrack. Moving on, next, I want to talk about the voice acting. I really liked the voice acting. They kind of did it in this kind of super classic anime way. They kind of did the Asian. So I liked it because the original dub, the original language the anime is done in is English, which makes sense. It was written and created by an English speaker. It's not your traditional anime. And by the way, I want to release a video somewhere down the line about what it means to be anime, because honestly, traditionally, yes, and all anime is from Japan, but then there are certain series, in my opinion, that I either consider American anime or anime-esque, and for short, I'll just call anime, and I just truly consider them to be anime. Some of those things are like the Boondocks, for example. Teen Titans has elements like that. Avatar, definitely, I believe, to be an anime, and I get in fights all the time, like, no, that's a cartoon, or blah, 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 like. So I really do want to do a video on my stance on that. But anyway, back to the voice acting. As far as being Lakeith's first, bout in voice acting, it wasn't awful. It wasn't terrible. I do think it could have been better. I do think, he's clearly not, the strongest voice actor. But as far as being enjoyable to the series, I think it was good. I think it brought a lot. And I really do hope that this is just the beginning for him. I hope that he has many opportunities. I don't know. I wouldn't quite say I want a season 2 of Yasuke yet, even though the ending kind of did leave it open for there to be a season 2. But overall, they had some noticeable names. They had the woman that did the voice of Mulan, and she played, I think, what's her name? Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I think she's in DC now too. I think she's hitting like... No. She was also in Star Wars. So she's been making great strides. But yeah, like I was saying, they kind of did it in like this pseudo-traditional anime way. Like back, like old school anime where the voice actors were kind of done by like Asian people, or done to like mimic the kind of like... American Asian accent. So I really like that. I think it did provide the story and show with a different element that was quite enjoyable. It was done in a tasteful way, like not mocking the tongue, and I do believe they had native like American Asians voice it just for that, not just for that purpose, but it made it more enjoyable. So that was great. Moving on, the next thing I want to talk about, the action sequences. Action sequences were fire. 10 out of 10. I am an action porn whore, and like I really enjoyed all the action scenes. They did my boy Yasuke so clean, from the first part where he was fighting against the swordsman unarmed, clean. When we first see him challenge, I believe, the Iga clan, when he was full in his full samurai garb and outfit. That was dope. And what else? Just the one I liked the least was the very end where he kind of got like super powered up. But we're gonna get into that when I talk about the overall plot. But as far as the action scenes go, if you're just someone that wants to see really dope action and want to see like a badass motherfucker be badass, this was for you. They really delivered on the action in this. My boy Yasuke really popped off and showed that, I'm a real G. I also thought it was cool how like he was bigger than a lot of the other samurai, which makes a lot of sense. As we know, it's just how it goes. Asian people tend to be smaller, shorter, and black people do tend to, be taller and more muscular, and that was kind of showcased in the series. So I thought that was really interesting. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but screw it, let's get to it. The last and final thing I want to discuss in Yasuke is the plot. Kind of garbage. I'm sorry. This is one of those things where like I hate it. I hate being like this, but I hate the fact that because something is like, the first black something or created for black people, we're all supposed to like love it despite any flaws. And that's not the kind of person I am. I will always hype it and I will talk about it, but I'm not just gonna, for the sake of its integrity and just for the sake of, this is a culturally significant, something of great cultural significance, I can't let it be like blasphemed. No, if something has flaws, it has flaws. The beginning was definitely intriguing, obviously. That's why I continued. I love the story. I wanted to learn more about the story. But honestly, it didn't offer anything special. And personally, the part that blew me the most was I thought this was going to be a semi-historical account. Now, I'm not saying that it had to be, anime version documentary. I'm not saying that at all. But there were like robots. It kind of got Afro Samurai-ish with like, there were robots, there was magic, there was psychic powers. I really would have preferred to not have any of that stuff. I was really hoping that we were going to get a very Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai Champloo-ish kind of anime where it does a kind of paraphrased hyperbole retelling of hyperbolic retelling of the story of Yasuke, the significant story about the first and maybe only black samurai in Japan at the time and his rise to like glory and honor and prestige and blah 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 and about the Nobunaga whatever. And we just really didn't get that. We just got this completely new world with robots and magic and sorcery and all that. Yeah, so we start off, it started off pretty good, pretty much, he was a servant. Nobunaga sees him protect the little kid. He's like, hey guy, you got spunk. I like you. I cracked up hilariously when he was like, someone washed this man and like they're washing him and like he's still black. Because at first when he said wash him, I didn't even think anything about the skin. I thought, okay, he's a servant. He probably smells. He's probably not taken care of. He's dirty. He just fought. And then he's like, all right, why is it not coming off? And like he explains, this is my skin. And I die laughing. And I wasn't offended in any matter because you have to think about it. Nowadays, there's no excuse for it. There's just no excuse for it. But back in the day, you are, around your people all the time. All you see is familiar places, familiar faces. You look side to side. You see people that look, more or less like you. Your skin tone, the same double eyelids, all that stuff. And then one day, this tall, big black dude shows up, and you don't know what to think. So I get ignorance of race back in the day. I don't condone racism or like how it's evolved, but I do understand there being an initial intrigue. You see something you haven't seen for the first time ever. It's intriguing. And I do like the like poetic irony of how just like you have this robot, you have this like werebear chick, and you have like this shaman, but like, I don't know, the fact that Yasuke is a black samurai is just this really amazing, daunting thing. Like, what? A black samurai in Japan? But like, yo, you're a robot in Japan. Yo, you're a werebear in Japan. Like, what? So I just really, really thought that was interesting. I thought it was intentionally done. And Nobunaga really seemed like he seemed like a chill dude for the most part. There is a scene that I won't lie, I did not really appreciate. I get it to a certain degree, but it's just kind of indicative to like what black people experience in this country. And that was the part where, Yasuke tells them his real African name. And I know this kind of seems hypocritical because I don't remember it, but that's just, I don't remember names in general. You guys have seen like my Dr. Stone review, and like, unless it's something like One Piece or something else where like I just know every character off the top of my hand, I forget. And it was like mentioned once in like the first or second episode. Anyway, he tells them his original name. Nobunaga is just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to call you Tom. And that's pretty much what happens. He got Kunta Kinte where, okay, your name is Toby. I was a little bit upset by that. Like, it screams to me, whenever a situation like that happens in real life, it screams to me, I cannot be bothered to, one of two things. I cannot be bothered to learn or memorize your real name, or I cannot be, or I do not care enough to, or respect you enough to take the time to learn your name. And you know what, you're a part of my culture, so assimilate to my culture. I just don't like it. My name is, Odera. That means God has written it. My middle name is Chinadu, which means God leads me. I like it. I'm no longer religious, but I just like the fact that like my name has thought to it. It has meaning to it. It has purpose. I know a lot of Africans like this. Asians are like this. A lot of foreigners are like this, where they come to this country and they're like, we're just going to give our child the easiest name ever just so that, you know, they can be comfortable in this country. They're not going to be judged. And that's cool and all, but I don't believe in sacrificing your culture to appease the culture of another. That's just how I feel. So anyway, that was literally the only cringy part like that, in my opinion. After that, it was pretty straightforward. We find out the girl has like supernatural powers that she can't control. I instantly had a feeling, because I've kind of seen this plot done before, and basically I don't think she's truly sick. I just think that her powers are destroying her because she needs to actively use them. So it kind of worked out how that there's a war and a battle for her, and so she got to actively use her powers, and the more she uses her powers, the less sick she becomes. So I saw that coming, but I don't know, man. It just got really convoluted. Okay, this girl has powers. Yasuke, took it upon himself to protect her. I didn't like that too. Once again, I really wanted this to be not a semi-historical account of the adventures of Yasuke. I wanted to see him as like his own person, and like we did kind of get to see that, but I didn't like this whole black savior, protect this little girl thing, travel with this little girl. It took a little bit of his, his autonomy, his independence from him. He was still a badass motherfucker, but like for the entire series, he's serving people, which is funny because he says, I serve no one, but you know, he pretty much served Nobunaga. But once again, that's a samurai thing. Samurai do kind of, serve their master, their retainer and whatnot. So like, I get it to a degree. And then like, he goes from doing that to like, kind of being like a vagabond, hides his sword and whatnot, just works as a boatsman, doesn't want to like do anything anymore, but still somehow retains his skill, as is typical of anime. But then he goes from that to now like he's this girl's pretty much, like warrior and stuff like that. I don't know, like I said, I think the magic and stuff really took away from what could have been really a really phenomenal showcase of sword technique and just more hype for him. The end fight where like she blesses him with her like mental powers and he's like blue, like I would have enjoyed it if it was like a series that's typically structured like that. But like I said, I really wanted this to be kind of like more grounded, more realistic fight scenes like Rurouni Kenshin, like Samurai Champloo, where like the pure action and artwork is what highlights the series. So I think the plot was a mess. I think it got sloppy. I didn't, especially towards the end. Towards the end, they were just trying to close and rush too many plot points. And then the mercenaries he were fighting switch sides easily. And I get it. Like, we go where the money goes. You offered to pay us. Oh, you killed our employer. So we're like, we don't have anyone to pay us. So we have no beef with you. Like, I on paper, I get it. But like on screen, it just did not play out well to me. I just did not really like it. So in terms of that, I thought the story was kind of boo-boo. I thought the story was kind of garbage. Maybe, they'll do a season 2 and like there'll be a better, well fleshed out story. I just kind of want to see more about Yasuke. I want to learn more about Yasuke and his struggles and how he's overcome and how he's proven himself and all that. Overall, I do think it's worth watching. It was enjoyable. At the end of the day, it was an enjoyable. If you're gonna watch it for anything, watch it because just to say you've seen it, just to enjoy it, come up with your own opinion. I could be totally wrong. Just also, if you want to do it for the culture, do it for the culture. But I think it was an enjoyable series. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I really want to make it higher. If you want to factor in the music, 7.5, 8. Honestly, the soundtrack was my favorite part. The soundtrack and the action sequences were my favorite part. I don't know what that means, but that was the extent of it. So yeah, I hope you like this review and analysis. I know it was kind of over the place. I don't really, like I said, I don't really write down a script or whatever. I'm just kind of spitballing. I watched it last night and I just want to highlight and talk about the parts I liked and the parts I disliked. I don't know. I just felt like they were doing too much with all the other characters. Like, I really didn't feel a lot when the werebear chick sacrificed herself. The one dude going to explode kind of seemed stupid. I feel like he would have had a better... Like, I know it was all, at the end of the day, to buy them time, but, like, okay. I really loved the ta-de-ta when he met the mercenaries and the robot just kept making jokes about, like, he's black. Are you guys related? Blah, blah, blah. And I was dying. I was dying at this robot being so, like, ignorant. But like, once again, I didn't really care about the sacrifices the robot or the werebear made. When Washington got shot by the arrow, didn't really care. The shaman guy was cool. Wish I got more like background into him. It just, if I had to like come down to it, it just seemed like a series that had a lot of ideas, but didn't quite master the execution of the ideas. They were just like, whatever, just get it down. People will watch it. People will enjoy it. And that's kind of what happened. Anyway, I have a Taekwondo class to go teach, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I really hope you guys like this review and analysis. If you disagree with anything I said, please let me know. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you think there's going to be a season 2, or if you even want a season 2. Let me know if you want to see Lakeith Stanfield work in any other anime projects, and if you want to see Netflix do more series like this. And on top of that, let me know how you guys feel. Do you wish that this was more of a semi-historical, accurate, kind of hyped up retelling of the lore of Yasuke, or are you cool with how this had magic and robots and yada yada yada? Because anime does it all the time. They take loosely historical stuff and make it in, and then just put it in this crazy world. So like, I'm not really mad about that. I made my own expectations, and based upon my own expectations I was kind of disappointed. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. This has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host OD. Please like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.